Hi, I'm Mike, and today is something brand new and very exciting for the ranch. Hustler Equipment has 10 new attachments available and has given us the opportunity to test and evaluate and eliminate from the ranch each and every one. Over the next few months, we're going to take each one out and put it through its paces. In some cases, we'll be comparing to existing equipment on the ranch. In others, we might be finding whole new uses. And at the end of each episode, we'll declare each new implement a winner or a loser for our ranch and decide if it stays or if it goes. It's the Hustler Equipment Showdown, and it's only on Our Wyoming Life. Hi guys, welcome back to the Hustler Showdown right here on Our Wyoming Life. Today we've got a brand new and very innovative piece of equipment that we're going to be sharing with you. It's called the Cakebucket, and it's going to be coming up in just a few minutes as Jeff and I get a chance to sit down and come up with the plan, the test, and the results. But first, we're going to take a quick look back at our last test, which was of this thing. This is the Hustler Regenerator LM630 field harrow, heavy field harrow. And we had a chance to test this in our last Hustler Showdown, and we had a few suggestions that we thought might just help.
So these skids are on the wings.
Okay.
So when the wings are out, it keeps the whole thing that far off the ground. And it allows these to do their job instead of this doing the job.
Okay.
If they would put, there's none on the center.
Right, okay.
So all you're getting is downward pressure directly on the bar in the center by itself.
And that's why we were digging up all the gravel and moving it around instead of actually. So if these skids, or if a set of these skids, just like them, were actually on the other portion, you could technically, probably, maybe not according to the manufacturer, but...
I'm no engineer, but I think that would work.
The skid plates, just like that one up there, are basically essential to how this whole thing works. And the folks at Hustler were nice enough to say, hey, go ahead and switch that around. Let's see how it works. So we actually moved, this one's a little dirty here because we've been testing it, but we moved the skid plate from here down to the lower one. And then we got out and tried to see how it worked. And it works great, all the difference in the world. But that's the great thing about Hustler, is that they're not afraid to try new things. In fact, I think that they might have had that figured out long before they even sent it to me. But now, being able to keep it folded up, run it through gates, it's amazing. And it's so quick and so easy to be able to get out and harrow with this thing. Today's Hustler Showdown is a brand new one for you, and we're going to be taking a look at not only what I've got here behind me. This is our Hustler feeder. We're going to be running this once again, but we're going to take a look at a whole new attachment to the Hustler line. So right here we've got the Hustler Cakebucket LM180, and this thing is a beast. If you take a look in here, you can actually see there's a giant auger that will help us feed cake. There's also these spinning wheels that'll help break up any clumps or anything like that that happen as we're moving along. And we've got doors right there and right there. Another really cool thing about today's Hustler Showdown is the fact that Case IH, along with Torgerson's, our local Case dealer, got together and they said, hey, let's try out a new tractor while we're doing this. So this is the L106 Puma. It's about 150 horsepower tractor. It's a lot bigger than what we normally feed with on the ranch, but we're very thankful to be able to try it out, at least for the day, if it doesn't stay here, which is not. It's going to be going back onto the lot, but we'll get a chance to try it out and see how well it works. These new tractors are amazing, guys. They're very cool. There's a lot to them. I haven't even really tapped into how anything really works on this thing, but we do have it hooked up to the Hustler feeder. We're going to be not only feeding a bale today, but we're also going to be putting out cake at the same time. The cake, once this door opens, will feed right out this chute. But before we even get that far, it's time for Jeff and I to come up with a plan of attack. This is Mr. Ranch Hand Jeff. I promoted you to Mr.
Thank you very much.
You're moving on up in the world. And today he is going to be helping us out as we continue with the Hustler Showdown, the Cakebucket Extraordinaire, which is not part of the real name, but it probably should be. Actually, we'll find out by the end of this
We will.
if it has any extraordinaire at all. But he's going to be coming along with us. He's going to help us figure out exactly how this thing works and if it works, and how well it works if it works. So what we'd like to do at this point, this is our plan of attack, and we need to come up with 3 things that we want to test on this Cakebucket. Now, we've already got it hooked up, and of course the Hustler feeder we've ran plenty of times. Right. But I'm kind of thinking I would actually like to know how easy this thing is to run, because you know how it is running the Hustler feeder. You kind of have to run 2 hydraulics at once, because you have your rotor going and your table. So you're kind of running that at the same time. Yep. This one, now you're running something on the front also. So it might be a matter of having 3 hands. Not exactly sure how that's going to work. The other thing that we want to check is functionality as a whole. Right. And I think that the main gist behind this is that obviously you're going to put the cake out before the hay goes out. Hay's at the back of the tractor, cake's at the front of the tractor. So the cake, which is a protein supplement, by the way, we'll show you guys when we get down in the field, will pour out of this spout, and then hay goes right on top of it. Right.
So they eat the meal and then they get dessert.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So that makes sense on paper. Right. Let's see if it works in the field. And then we have what we like to call our out-of-the-box thinking, and that's where we usually take these Hustler pieces of equipment and come up with something that they really haven't been designed to do. And with calves out in the field and them staying on the ranch, and we want to make sure that they're gaining as much weight as possible, we decided that we're going to creep feed the calves this fall. And that basically just gives them a little bit extra vitamins and supplements and a little bit extra food to help them grow. They have lots of grass out there to eat right now, but we do want to give them cake every single day or every other day, or however that's going to work out. So normally we would have a big cake or a creep feeder that they would come to. Unfortunately, they kind of destroyed the creep feeder from last year. Their moms helped with that project. So this year we've got to come up with a different way to feed the creep. And I thought maybe this thing might be able to help us out.
I would think it would be a good idea, since they're in a separate pasture. You can just lay it out for them, and they don't have to worry about moms taking them up or getting it up and
exactly
eating it.
Yeah, just lay it right out on the ground, kind of like a windrow, like we would do with the hay or the cake or anything else.
Yeah.
So cows have no problem eating off the ground. I don't. There's a 5-second rule. So that's what we're going to test today. And what we're going to do is we're going to head down in the field. We're going to track down some cows. But first, we've got to get cake in this thing. And to do that, we've got a brand new invention that we came up with on the ranch to share with you guys, and hopefully it works. Alrighty, Jeff, you get a chance to drive the big tractor today, the new one. Yeah, if you want to. But before we get to that new thing, we're going to take a look at this new thing, and this is our new cake bin. Not quite sure if I'm sold on it yet, but this is I forgot what they're called, but they're like a water tote or liquid tote. We've actually repurposed to hold cake. We put a bigger lid on the top so we can pour the cake in, and we gave ourselves a nice little spout here on the outside. So originally we thought we'd just pull up to this thing with the cake bucket and dump it in there, but I think that would cause more problems than probably what it's worth, because you can't really see the front of the bucket very well, and I'd hate to run into this thing and knock it off the stand. So we're actually going to fill up a muck tub with cake first, but first let's go ahead and take a look at the cake bucket itself. It's built so that if you had like a big pile of cake, you could just drive into the pile of cake, scoop up a whole bunch of cake, take off down the road. I think that unless you feed literally a ton of cake a day, you're going to have cake left over in this thing. So some sort of cover would be kind of cool,
Yeah.
you know, so you could scoop up cake, cover it up, and then not have to worry about it getting wet or anything like that. The other fear is that when you disconnect from it, you actually have to lay it down flat, so it can't have any cake in it when you disconnect either. So that's kind of a limiting factor to it. But if you are feeding a lot of cake, probably not a bad idea at all. We're going to be doing it on a limited scale today, so we are going to fill up this muck tub, like I said, and just throw it right into the bucket.
Okay.
Let's see how this works.
I would call that a success.
I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say this thing's heavy.
Cake is pretty heavy.
So what do you think, 100 pounds there?
At least.
Maybe we should weigh it. Well, that barely made a dent in that thing.
I know.
So we are feeding, how many cows? We're going to feed about 40 cows down there. So we need 80 pounds of cake.
2 pounds per, right?
2 pounds per. So let's give them a little bit of an extra treat. We'll put 2 buckets of this stuff, 2 buckets of cake in,
Okay.
and we'll give them a little bit extra. It's not going to hurt them at all, so they should be happy.
All right.
I'm going to say that works pretty dang good.
It does.
Until you get down to the bottom, then you're going to have problems. But
I think this would work well, not just for cake, but some larger operations have big silage pits.
right?
You could just run into a silage pit, fill it with silage, and run out in the lot and feed it.
Right. Yeah, I can definitely, it's overbuilt for what we probably need.
Yeah.
You know, it's way bigger than what we would need. If they made like a half-size one, that might work.
Yeah.
But for a larger operation, I think it'll probably be very handy for feeding either way. And the nice thing is, when I say either way, you can also feed out of either side. Now, we've got a chute. It's actually on this side. On this side, we do not. But we can feed out of either side of this thing. And we do that by flipping a few of these levers and controlling which doors open. So very cool. We're all loaded up, we're ready to go, and we've got our creep in the back of the gator.
Yep.
So when we switch over to creep feeding, we'll be able to do that. But yeah, I guess the only thing left to do is the test.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so here we are inside the Case Puma 150, Case IH, beautifully made tractor. I mean, this thing's got all kinds of room on the inside. Doesn't have windows that open. That kind of surprised me. I guess I can open up the back window, but we got a nice little sunroof up there. Look at that. And more electronics than you shake a stick at. Computer here, keeping track of everything we've struggled to figure out in the past, including our fuel rate. Yeah, pretty much everything in there. And of course, all this stuff here. There's our steering wheel. Nice little cup holders over here. But it's just on loan, so I'm kind of afraid to even drink in the dang thing. All right, we are gonna head down to the field, into the pasture. We've got our bale loaded up. We still have the net wrap on it, and we have it on there just because I didn't feel like losing a bunch of hay right here in the yard. So we'll dump it off when we get down there and cut the net wrap off. But a little bit of a trip going down there. This tractor a lot bigger than our 6420, which is sitting right there. A lot bigger tractor. Sitting up a lot higher. I can tell you loading the bale up, which is a lot nicer because you can actually see a whole lot more out the back of this thing, because I am sitting up quite a bit higher. But the point of the matter is, it's not the tractor today anyway. Maybe someday in the near future, if we get a different tractor out here, we can take a look at it. little bit more in depth. Today is all about the Hustler Showdown and of course the Hustler Cakebucket. So you start talking about bells and whistles, and this tractor is pretty much set up. Again, thank you to Torgerson's and of course Case IH for giving us the use of this tractor for this edition of the Showdown. We only have it for one day, so this is where we're going to make it worth it. All of these buttons and doohickeys and doodads and all, I mean, they're everywhere, and I'm not even sure what half of them do, but I do know what we need to do to make what we need to test work. So I don't think there's an easier way to do this other than what we're going to be doing. Everything is electronic in this tractor, whereas like in our John Deeres we have a lot of mechanical type hydraulics and all that kind of stuff. These are all, everything's electronic. So I think I have, I'm 99% sure that I have everything set up exactly the way that it needs to be. And we're just now crossing into summer pasture, so we're going to head down and check out the cows. Now, Jeff came down in the gator, which in the back of the gator we've got our creep that we're going to feed to the cows, which are a mile or two back that way. I am actually going to stop up here ahead. We're going to get Jeff in here with us because he does have that creep in the back of the gator, and we don't want the cows to get wind of that because they'll go nuts for that also and screw up our entire test here and what we're trying to do. So we're going to stop and grab Jeff. We're also going to kick this bale off really quick and get the net wrap off of it, so we're ready to go as soon as we get to the cows, which are about a mile or so down that way. And there's Jeff right there in the gator. And there he is, Jeff hanging out with us. So I can give you the really quick rundown on how this thing runs. So here's your forward and backward. So you pop that up. So that's park. And then that's forward. And you got a little tractor with the forward on it. To switch between forward and backwards is just these buttons. Oh. This is your throttle. That's obviously your bucket. And then your tilt is here. There's one of them, that's the rotor. And that one's the tilt. These are your hydraulics, these little tiny switches. So we will head down towards the cows. I didn't see any of them come steal anything out of your gator, so that's good. It is a lot bigger. You're setting up a lot higher.
It is way bigger.
There's no suspension on that seat, I'm guessing.
Nope. If I stay on for 8 seconds, do I get a belt buckle?
I think you already got a belt buckle. Oh, they're a little scattered.
A little bit.
So Jeff, the big thing is that we're not starting feeding yet. Obviously, we've got them down here on summer pasture so that they eat as much as they can forever and ever until December or whatever.
Right.
But this is just for the tests, so I don't want anybody to get all excited and think we're feeding already, because we're not. This is just for the test. This is like a bonus bale for these guys, a little bit extra cake. Let's just roll right over here. Oof, jeez. Man, who's driving this thing? Alrighty. Okay, so we made it down here for the test, the testing area, the proving grounds, if you will. I guess there's really nothing else to do but feed these guys and see how well it works.
Yeah.
In the back here, Jeff, we're going to turn on the rotors. Remember which button does that. Okay, I want to go. Yep, that's the direction I want to go. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up a little bit. And I think I have to make all these things happen pretty quickly. A little tricky. Okay, so this way. My gate opening. dropping any cake. No, I'm going the wrong way then. Oh yeah. Can't quite see the gate out there. Can you see the gate?
You can see the
Oh, there we go.
gate
Okay.
is opening.
Okay, so it's opening up just a little bit. Okay. I haven't had anything fall out yet, but that's okay.
Couple of cubes.
Okay. Now I remember how to drive the tractor. Okay, so beep beep cows. The cows get kind of out of my way here, so I can do this without killing somebody. Okay, I'm gonna turn on the rotor. Start feeding out. Oh crap. A little bit of hay, and then I'm gonna open this thing up the rest of the way. Almost like a ballet trying to do all this stuff at once. Okay, whew, that's tricky. That's a little tricky to try to do all at the same time. But obviously, if I wasn't trying to film it, it'd probably be a little easier. Okay. All right, Jeff is going to finish up feeding that bale because we kind of ran out of cake before we ran out of bale. But here's the interesting part. Now, it obviously laid the hay right on top of the cake. So it's kind of cool because the cows are actually going through, they're looking for the cake that's underneath the hay. I think that's kind of neat. Let's see if we can find some for ourselves here. Okay, so there we go. We moved some of the hay, and there we find cake hidden underneath. If nothing else, it's a fun game of hide and seek for the cows. What do you guys think? Do you approve? I guess if we had a lot more cake, we'd be able to lay it out even in the longer windrow. You can see Jeff is clear back there already, still unspooling that bale. So you can make a bale pretty much stretch as far as you want to. And I think that as we play around with the cake bucket, we'll kind of be able to figure out exactly how fast we put out our bale and how much cake we put out as well. Either way, the cows look pretty dang happy. That's all that really matters, right? And that's the end of our testing phase, at least for the way this thing was designed or what it was designed to do. Jeff, what do you think of the Case IH Puma 150?
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
It's a nice tractor.
It is a really nice tractor. It's, but it does take a little bit of getting used to after our, caveman tractors that we've got.
School.
Yeah, no doubt. Everybody's all saying, "Oh, you got such nice new tractors." Nope, our newest tractor is like 25 years old. So this thing's definitely different. All right, we're pulling back up over here where the gator was, and we're actually going to try the next step of our testing, which is our out-of-the-box thinking. Whoops, sorry, Jeff. And we are going to put we're going to put creep in the bucket, and we're going to go feed some calves and see how that works. Remember how to move the bucket down? Oh, look at you go. So we've got a little bit of cake left in here. These wheels, like I said before, actually spin. If you have it full of material, these wheels will help loosen it up, and they just freewheel there, but they're actually catching on the auger as the auger spins.
Didn't get it all.
Yeah, we didn't get it all. There's still a little bit left over there. All right, you want to back the gator up and we'll dump our creep in. When it comes to out-of-the-box thinking, sometimes it's hard to come up with ideas for some of this equipment, but some of it just pops right into your head. And the first thing I thought of when I saw the cake bucket was that we could probably use it for creep as well. Got a little bit over a mile drive over to these calves that we've got over here, so hopefully we can get there pretty quick and check this out. And here we are at our calves. I'm going to jump out really quick here and take a look at something, because we have one small problem literally with the creep, is that we've got a couple holes in the bucket. This is where hydraulics move through. As I was driving, we were losing creep out. In fact, not a lot, but a little bit here and there really starts to add up. Inside the bucket, we've obviously still got enough. So, Jeff back over here with us. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Are you? Why don't you jump in and run it, and we'll see what it looks like from the outside.
Okay.
All right. Jeff is going to lay out some creep for these calves, and we'll see what happens. I guess I should warn you, the calves haven't had creep. This is the first run of it, so they really don't know what's happening. Okay. And that's it. All the creep is out, and the calves have no clue what we just gave them.
No, not yet.
But they will. They will learn. Alrighty guys, welcome to the results. This is the Hustler Cakebucket, not the creep bucket, because that just sounds weird. You know, I couldn't, yeah, marketing the creep bucket might be a little, hey, come buy our new creep bucket. Put all your creeps in there.
Available to all creeps everywhere.
Alrighty, Jeff, so basically what Hustler wants us to do is give them the straight and narrow, the meat and potatoes. What do we think of the Cakebucket? Of course, we do have the feeder, which we've ran for a year or two on the ranch. Right. That thing we love. The Case Puma 150, while it's more tractor than we need and way more payment than we need, it's a very, very nice tractor. And if one happened to fall off a truck in front of the ranch, I wouldn't complain. At the same time, yeah, I wouldn't want to make the payment on it. Not at this point anyway, hopefully sometime in the near future. But the Cakebucket itself, it is big. It's huge. We figured this thing could at least hold a ton of cake. Yep. That's enough to feed 1,000 cows a day, which is way more than we need to do.
We need a little more land.
We need a little more cows. We need a little more everything. And you may need a tractor this big to run it. I didn't really look and see, you know, I mean, ours can pick up a ton, so I don't think we would have any trouble with it. Yeah. Our little bit of cake that we put in it every day, you know, is it worth it? I think over time it would be. Probably right off the bat, you know, unless we figured out a way to cover it, you could throw a tarp over it. Yeah. You know, you could put all your cake in here, throw a tarp on it, strap it down, go out and feed it. Have your time measurements. You know that I know it kicks out 50 pounds a second. You know, run it for this long, boom, we're done. Yeah. I think there's ways to utilize it and do it smartly. Yeah. But at the same time, yeah, it's a really big machine. If you've got enough cows that you need this, I mean, this is great. This is awesome.
If we made a half-ton version.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or even a quarter ton version might be kind of nice. Yeah, it's a very cool idea. The concept behind it is great. The mechanics work well.
Yep.
Everything seems to work really well. The auger pushes it out, does exactly what it's supposed to do. So the one thing we did talk about that we didn't get a chance, well, Jeff and I talked about, but you guys weren't there, is the chute on the side. Check this out. So you've got this chute over on the side, and this chute actually is what puts the cake far enough out so that it actually lands right in the row of hay. The problem with this is if you set this bucket down and you're not thinking about it, what happens, Jeff?
It breaks. Or bends, because it's steel, so it'll bend before it breaks, I think.
You would hope.
We won't test that theory.
I guess, yeah, we won't. I guess that's one downfall of it. I mean, you do have to be somewhat, and it's just like any other piece of equipment. I mean, you have to be paying attention to what you're doing. And when you stop paying attention, that's when mistakes happen pretty darn quick. So I guess the big question is, do we need it on the ranch or do we not need it on the ranch?
This size ranch, I would say no.
Okay.
It is a good machine, but it's more than you need.
Right. It is. It's way more cake. It's a storage bin on the front of a tractor. It's a storage bin size that we build anyway. So.
Well, if you used it for storage, you'd need something to rest it on, something to sit it on. Mm-hmm. Have you seen those kayak racks on cars where one side's big and one side's short?
Right.
You could do that and set it in it, keep it covered. When you need it, hook up and go.
What do we do with the Subaru that's underneath it? Yeah. That goes off with a hipster somewhere. Sorry, no offense if you own a Subaru. So anyway, that's it for the Hustler Showdown this week. Honestly, yeah, I don't know if we would need something this big on the ranch. It's a really cool piece of equipment, but something this big is probably a little bit overkill. And I hate to have something. Oh, and the out of the box thing, I guess we can talk about that really quick. The feeding of the creep went actually pretty well. You were able to control the flow of the creep, I think, better than you were the cake.
Well, the initial, when it starts coming out, it just came out.
Right.
But then you can just kind of feather the auger so you can control it. So that, yeah, it worked good that way. But the initial layout, it kind of poured fast. There's a pile back there.
There is a little pile back there. All right, so you're saying learning curve is definitely something that goes with any piece of equipment.
Any new piece of equipment, yeah, you have to learn it. Definitely.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you learned something today. Hustler, of course, thank you very much for the use of the Cakebucket, letting us test it, and let us give our honest opinion on what we think. There's not too many companies that actually do that anymore. Case IH, thank you for the tractor, Torgerson's, the Puma 150. Awesome tractor. If you can figure it out, man, it is a cool tractor to have. And it's not the biggest one. This is their mid-level tractor. Wow. So there's one bigger than this that's still in the same class before you start getting up into, Zach Johnson tractors and things like that. So pretty cool stuff. And of course, thank you, Jeff, for helping us out. And once again, your days on the ranch are numbered. Not in a good way.
And that number is 5.
That number is slowly going down, that's for sure. So coming up, we will have Jeff's farewell video, and we're going to follow Jeff around, check out his chores, and see what he's up to almost every day on the ranch. And it's actually good for him because then he can go back and watch the video and be like, oh, I miss those days.
I can have a refresher before I come back.
That's not a bad idea. Or whoever replaces you. All righty, guys. I told you I'd make him cry. We'll see you guys next time. Until then, be sure to subscribe, follow along as we explore the ranch life and escape the ordinary right here on Our Wyoming Life. That tractor looks cool back there.